just ban the Gragas.
They listen, man.
Well, I want to know if CLG understands what's going on, because as far as champions played by Winged, 5 straight Lee Sin games in his only champion summer games, plus his first 2 games at Kespa Cup. So I want to see if that comes off the table as well. There's the Ryze ban away, which is, I think, very smart to get that one away from Huhi. He showed that he plays it, and everyone knows Ryze is very good.
Well, okay, so yeah, I didn't expect the Lee Sin ban, of course. That's a little bit of a low priority, even if it's just Wing's supposedly main champion. But do you even dare to steal that, or do you just say, Winged, you know what, just take it, we'll deal with it another way?
I mean, now it's just like Rek'Sai and Lee Sin up as like the only top tier junglers left, right? Gragas, Elise, Kindred, all off the table. Like, Lee Sin's probably just gonna get picked now by Jin Air, and like they don't even feel that bad about the fact that 3 junglers got banned.
Well, I mean, if you can play Lee Sin, you can play Rek'Sai. Like, Rek'Sai has some bare minimum mechanics, so I'm pretty sure he can handle it. So they're not too worried about it getting taken away. Like, Xmithie does play a lot of Lee Sin. He's actually a pretty good.
Yeah,
Lee
he's
Sin
good
player.
at it.
Yep.
Right.
But I don't think it's gonna be like, oh my god, we gotta get this out of this guy's hands like right now.
And additionally, the ability to unburrow to stop the Sonic Wave follow-up on Rek'Sai just makes it a sort of difficult matchup for Lee Sin to navigate around. You can outplay, you can go for some amazing engages, but it's much more difficult when there's just a Rek'Sai burrowed in the ground in front of the enemy team.
Okay, and the Kalista pickup, I mean, not a big surprise, especially for a lot of AD carries in general, but especially for Korea and Pilot, one of the better AD carries these days rising up in the Korean region. And there is a Lee Sin, so he's going to take it, but like you guys mentioned, it's not just to steal it. Xmithie is pretty darn good on that Lee Sin.
Actually, I hope they pick up the Lissandra here just to get some hard CC. One of Ashe's problems is she's not exactly the most mobile champion, and if she starts dying in the early game, it just, like, we've seen so many games where Ashes will end up with like 8, 9 deaths, and it's just horrific. So I really hope I see a Lissandra here so they can get also nice flank plays.
And Lissandra is so good in this meta because, once again, she provides so much pressure onto a tower. She can't take them down quickly, but she can constantly threaten a dive. And additionally, as you've seen TP fall out of favor a little bit with some mid laners, Lissandra is an excellent mid laner to utilize TP because you can show up in a lane and you can lock down so many people so easily. You don't need any setup time. It's not a Victor. You've got all the mobility and all the hard CC necessary to really show up anywhere at any time.
That's why I think Galio is always a great pick in mid, but no one really listens to me anymore.
Galio doesn't have a gap closer. Chobra, stop.
Hey, it's called Flash. Well, and it's called Flash. That's why Flash is in the game.
Though, and
you buy
Galio's
distortion
like,
boots.
My ultimate doesn't work. And QSS is pretty cheap too. But
yeah, okay.
I really like the Lissandra though, also because it's an ambiguous pick. Like, they haven't really shown what lane it's going to be showing up in, so it could even still go into the top lane. It's actually pretty good against like Renekton and a lot of the melee matchups. You can just kite them out.
All right, well, CLG, yeah, I think right now you grab, whatever good mid laners you can play. The thing is, I have no idea, nor does anyone, what Huhi's champion pool is. Right, until yesterday, his last competitive match was literally like 7 months ago. So, does he know the meta champions? Was like Lissandra his thing? Like, how good's Azir? Literally no one knows except CLG members here. And so they will pick for Darshan last. I think that's very smart. You mentioned the Lissandra flex pick. Make sure that lane goes well because Darshan's been a big reason that CLG is good. And pick up reasonably safe mid laner otherwise.
So the issue that I have coming in with this Azir here is that Azir can't really realistically take teleport because the pressure that he can, but the pressure difference between the two is pretty massive because Azir needs to set up those soldiers to be effective in a team fight engage, and he can look for those fancy Emperor's Divide plays, but there's a lot less opportunities. And additionally, the only response that Azir really has if Lissandra roams or disappears in the early to mid game is to just pressure in the mid lane, and before he gets a few items, he has threat to the tower, but he's not going to be able to push it down nearly as quickly as Lissandra is going to be able to find kills.
Okay, I mean, that's so far it also seems like CLG making sure they have all these options to protect Ashe if someone were to try to dive in. You got that Alistar, you got the Emperor's Divide, you've got, of course, Lee Sin with his kick too.
I actually really like the Kennen pick here if they pick it for support. I feel like if you can just chuck him in on top of the Ashe, then Alistar is forced to use his combo to pretty much punt the Kennen out, and that's a support that you're wasting your combo on. So if he doesn't do that, then Ashe is going to get locked up, and Riven can just easily come in with Lissandra. So really big wombo.
Yeah, honestly, Jin Air have a ton of really safe champions against Ashe Air, right? The Ashe pick really early on is, I mean, it's a Jin Air special, but they already picked up Kalista for themselves, so it wasn't exactly contested anymore. And then pretty much down the line, every single one of these champions has a way to outplay Ashe. Aside from Kalista herself, if she gets arrowed, she's kind of done for it, but like, everyone else can get away from that pick potential.
Yeah, and also, picking up that Riven for that snowball factor, of course, Darshan played it yesterday. He sounded not too pleased with it, but it is one of his favorite champions. So we'll see what else.
It's easily SoHwan's as well.
Right.
So it's like, here's your international debut. Go play your best champion.
Yeah. Well, hey, what a better way to kick things off here. Darshan, so is there anything particular that CLG is missing then?
I mean, they'll probably end up picking like a Renekton or something into Riven. Like, Riven, to be honest, right now doesn't have...
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Never mind.
3 weeks late. We almost had a Jax at Worlds. We had to settle for having it here at IEM San Jose. Pretty much the last competitive tournament on the before we hit
before we hit the
preseason
new
patches, the
season and
2016
with everything.
changes. Yeah, for those watching at home who aren't aware, we are on 521 here, so none of the crazy stuff. That's why we're not
No
seeing waves.
Gwinsus. Let's all calm down.
No
So
Ginsu's
you
Rage Blade
all-stars.
spam.
What a great
Yeah.
item.
But yeah, the Jax starting all of us off a little bit. But of course, I mean, Jax, regardless of which patch he's been on, he's one of those champions. And if you get rolling, he's also a little bit snowballing. I mean, he will always reach that unstoppable moment if you let him keep just farming away.
Yeah, the 2v2s in the top lane are going to be the big decider in this game because what's going to happen is one person's going to die, their TP's going to have to get blown to go back to turret, and then we've seen it so many times this tournament where they set up the TP play behind the bot turret, and if you can just get on top of Ashe with the Riven, such an easy tower dive.
All right, well, CLG looking to stay alive in this tournament and reach the finals. Meanwhile, Jin Air trying to make a mark with their international debut to bring us this game. It is Doa, MonteCristo, and Krepo.
Hey guys, are you ready? Jin Air versus CLG. The semi-untested Jin Air roster. We saw them a little bit in the Kespa Cup versus the NA champions, but they've got a new roster as well. A lot of questions, but I feel like Jin Air, we talked about it in the pregame show, guys. They've had a lot of experience on this patch, on 5.1. Do you think that's all it's going to take? The answer is no, but I want you to expand on that, obviously.
I mean, coming in, yes, they have had the most experience, but they've also shown the most, right? They only had 5 games, but that's enough to get at least some sort of a read on this team. And they are a bit reckless. This is very different from the old style of Jin Air with these new players. They were definitely much more aggressive out of the laning phase than we've typically seen. And old Jin Air played a very defensive style. Trace playing a tank, GBM playing a very defensive style of mid lane, and we're going to see how they've evolved, really.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. I mean, and Jin Air really was in need of a bit of revitalization. CLG seemingly as well.
Yeah. Some interesting compositions, though, that they ran. I really feel like the Jin Air composition is really like, it's like a shotgun. One bullet, like, and then you need to blow them up. And if they're not dead by then, you probably will kind of get countered here. CLG they really want to kite, so I always like seeing when teams have very stylistic different compositions, because it shows you like if they understand theirs and the opponent's composition, and if they can play around that.
Well, here we go, guys. Welcome to Summoner's Rift, Game 1 between the Jin Air Greenwings and CLG. Some wards going down, but not too deeply in the early game. This Jax pick, though, by Darshan, I mean, we were talking about it during picks and bans. We thought they were going to go for a tank or something like that. Can this Jax do anything?
I'm just keeping my eyes here on Stixxay, so it looks like CLG wants to keep Darshan away from this Riven early to make sure that he doesn't really lose that lane, and they snuck in Stixxay early into that lane buff and then pathing him over the ward. So that's interesting from CLG side. Usually it's something we haven't really seen before anymore, because doing that you kind of lose the map control early if you get invaded.
Yeah. As for this Jax, I have to say I'm a bit worried. Yes, it'll be very strong in a split push situation, but with the amount of crowd control that Jin Air is running, it's not going to be very easy to team fight in the late game. I mean, he's got to deal with Kennen and Lissandra ults, a lot of knockups and stuns, so he's going to be target number 1 for Jin Air if they get into any kind of team fight, and their wombo combo is very powerful.
I think if Darshan wants to have an impact in this game, he needs to flank. He needs to come from the side with a teleport home guards or something, and then pop his E and then flash in, stun maybe 2 people. And there's
pause. All right, well,
more time to talk about Jax.
You know, to be fair, Darshan did a great job of split pushing yesterday.
Yep.
He was able to get a lot done in the games we saw. So, I mean, it does kind of fit what CLG's been kind of doing this weekend already.
But they have to show something different here, right? What I really, really liked about Jin Air's draft, they're starting on the blue side, so they freed up a couple of extra picks. Gangplank surprisingly fell all the way through the picks and bans in this game. But Jin Air, they banned Gragas, which we saw CLG have a lot of success with yesterday. They ban out the Rise, and then they take the Riven blind. So what this says to me is, this is Jin Air. They're trying to test out and see what else CLG has.
Yeah.
So it's just game number 1, but they've taken away a lot of the comfort picks that we saw from Counter Logic Gaming yesterday, and now it's how deep do CLG's champion pools and strategies go?
Yeah, provided you can actually play those champions that you steal, I think that's a really good strategy to go into a game, one of the best of series.
Well, we know SoHwan can play Riven, that's for sure.
He's played 5 competitive games in his history. 3 of them are on Riven. He is 1 and 2 on Riven so far. But he is known as a Riven one-trick pony in Korean solo queue. So it's probably his most comfortable champion. It fits the meta right now. So taking it away, I think he's going to be okay.
And looks like the problem is with Stixxay's computer. So we'll see if we can get that fixed. Fixade? Pretty quick. I don't know where I was going with that. And this is a match that's, you know, again, kind of hard to call. But you know what? I'm still a little bit sad that GBM is gone from Jin Air. I miss the bow ties already. I miss the attitude. I don't really miss his play so much because it was kind of slow, kind of boring.
I love his play.
I miss the person. Yeah, you would. You like boring
You
games
look like
of League
the
of
kind of
Legends?
person that will enjoy his play, MonteCristo.
How about you, Krepo? Come on, be honest here.
I think people very often when they rate him, like they look at a highlight from a match and like, oh, GBM, fantastic player.
I meant
And
what
then
kind of games do you like?
Oh, what kind of games?
Yeah. You're
Well
the same
played.
as Monty, aren't you?
Yeah, I like
Yeah,
patience.
I thought
like
so.
I like eliminating choice. Forcing, you know how you have like forced errors. Those are the ones I like the most, where you force people into either a really bad decision or a super bad decision. That's the
Okay. So firmly against strategic diversity. Wow, I don't know. That's a bold statement to make, Krepo.
No,
Yeah.
strategic diversity is fine as long as you use it to your advantage and you just out-diverse your opponent.
I see. Well,
Out-diverse.
Put that on the wall for a quote.
See, whenever I lose a game of solo queue, that's what I think. I'm like, oh, I've been out-diversed. Oh, man, if only I had just did more different things in that game.
Like not feed, for example.
It's tough, yeah. Well, I mean, you do it a little bit, and then you like steal a kill here and there, and then your Vayne gets mad and like AFKs. There's 3 things already that your team is doing. It's quite diverse. Yeah, but yet it doesn't work. Well, we've got large amounts of people working on Stixxay's computer right now. That's right.
I can confirm the sound is on. Okay, this guy. Keyboard is plugged in.
We'll build him a new one here. We'll start. I've got the case.
Do you?
I do.
You do.
It's
you
under
don't.
the desk. I'm putting in an Intel CPU, of course. It's the fastest and best CPUs of all.
I can't build a PC.
Oh, really?
Yep.
It's not that hard.
Nope. I have to confess, I let somebody build mine.
Oh, it's okay.
I'm not a true gamer.
A lot of people do.
I'm just a fraud.
Wow. We're learning a lot about you, I feel like, in this pause, Krepo.
Yeah, can this game start already before I start talking about the deep, dark terrors of my childhood?
I want to hear more of your flaws.
Like, I bought a used one on Craigslist. I don't even know what's in it. It just had like a lot of big, bright colored fans on the side. I'm like, ooh, that looks like a gaming computer. And that looks like our trophy. There it is. Kind of looks like the game that came down in the sky in Reboot. You remember that? Warning, incoming game.
I remember
You remember
Reboot.
Reboot?
I don't remember that.
Yeah, like when a game was going to be played, like there's a square opened up and something came down like that.
I tried like going back and like watching the Reboot opening.
You really can't.
It's really awful.
It
Isn't
is.
it?
Believe it or not, the CG did not stand the test of time. But those Jurassic Park dinosaurs still look great, so I don't know what the deal is.
I think one had a lot more of a budget, though.
Maybe slightly more. I didn't see Steven Spielberg attached to a Reboot last I checked.
Maybe he should be for the Reboot.
The Reboot. See, you can't really do
Then I
another
can find
one.
out what the hell you guys are talking about because I have no clue whatsoever.
We kind of left Krepo out of that conversation, didn't we? Oh. Well, sorry, man.
You'll have to wait for the Spielberg reboot to understand
Yeah.
what we're talking about.
Should I update it a little bit? Should we jump ahead in time a while? Maybe Teletubbies?
Yeah, I want some SpongeBob here. The reboot of SpongeBob
Oh, there you go.
in
Okay,
3D.
it's okay.
Virtual reality SpongeBob. Yeah.
Virtual reality. What would that involve? A sensation of drowning? Because we're not sea creatures. We can't breathe underwater.
I mean, yeah, he's a sponge. A walking sponge. I mean, I don't know, man.
That's what SpongeBob is. I always
Thanks for the
wondered.
clarification.
Yeah, just for the people out there.
SpongeBob is
His
a
name is
walking
Bob.
sponge. 2000.
Sponge. That's
Krepo
about what I understood.
2015.
I actually
Thank
never
you.
watched SpongeBob either.
Wow.
I played too many video games, man.
It's a lord of lies over here, man. Jeez.
I'm just a fraud. I just read up reviews online and I tell people that I know everything.
Just a chronic lying that. But it's
Kleptomaniac.
See, if you're going to be a chronic kleptomaniac, I think if you're going to be a compulsive liar, it's best to have it be things about I watched SpongeBob when you actually didn't. Well, looks like a slight lead for Jin Air in terms of the fan vote, and I think that's appropriate. I think that's about where I'd put it too. I think Jin Air does have a bit of an edge, but it could go either way. I think we're finally going to get a Game 3 out of this series. What do you guys think?
I think it seems pretty likely. Like I said, it just depends. So at the World Championship, CLG came in, and when Lulu Mid was banned, they went 0-4. And they looked good with that fast push strategy with the Lulu Mid and putting on a lot of early pressure, but they couldn't really figure out how to play any other way for the rest of the group stage. So we've seen them play so far, with this Gragas. Is that the key to breaking CLG here too? How deep can they go strategically?
Yeah, and it doesn't even only count for CLG. So many teams, especially when newly formed, they latch on to maybe 1 or 2 key strategies in the limited amount of time practice that they have to really perfect. And if teams don't really ban that out, they can run that throughout the entire tournament. But then suddenly, if you have a really smart pick ban strategy where you get to ban to steal another 2 champions away, then you often see these teams crumble. So that could very well happen to CLG because they're running a risky composition. If they get snowballed on, it's so easy for Greenwings to just, execute so much CC. Every single champion can produce 1 hard CC component. That is the key to snowballing.
Yeah, and if you try and fight Jin Air around Dragon or around Baron when Jin Air has a lead, it's just going to be lights out pretty much. It's not really anything they can do. You talked about the teleport flanks from Jax, but it's all up to Darshan because he has to play around the Lissandra ult. Like, that's the key for him, is that he's going to be coming in late to clean up these team fights. He goes in early, and he is going to get mauled by the crowd control from Jin Air, and they need him to be effective and to deal damage.
Seems like kind of endless engage from Jin Air. But I've got good news, guys. It's time to move it back into the game between Jin Air and CLG. Here we go. Yet again, Pilot down in that bot lane, just on his own, farming a little bit. Chei tries to harass. Let's see what he can do with the blue buff. Maybe not much.
He's buying time. That's all he's doing.
Okay. Oh, Xmithie and Darshan are just going to bypass it.
Yeah, they actually ran all the way across the map. So Darshan intentionally showed on the ward in the top side of the Tri-Brush just to make it look deceptive that they were going to be using the Jax in the top lane.
And they still got 2 camps at the other side, and that's generally the most you can get. Otherwise, so Jin Air Greenwings, they get the full 3 camps on the left side though. There was no harass, no walking in from Aphromoo, because it's, as a melee support, it's kind of risky, so CLG actually just opted to do with camping the top side of the map. So this leaves Xmithie with very little jungle camp, so we may see a fast push here.
Look at that. Chei just harassing Huhi to keep him back, let Kuzan get a little bit more farm. That is some dedicated roaming from that support.
Yeah, one thing I noticed about Jin Air's lane swaps in the Kespa Cup is that they were less concerned with fast pushing down a tower in a lane swap than many other teams. And in fact, in several of the games, they decided to actually try and defend a 3v4. So they are a little bit, now we are going to see the fast push here, but take a look out for that in later games because they were playing around with some different aspects of the meta, I would say.
Wow, Kuzan getting poked really hard here. Huhi with not a ton of mana left over though, so neither player can get ultra aggressive right now in the mid lane. We'll see. CLG looks like they should be able to take this turret. Didn't see what the health was down in the bottom for Jin Air, but yeah, they'll get this one as well. So looks like the teams will just trade tier 1s early on, and we'll see where things go from there.
My question is who's going to get the gold right here, because it looks like they're going to give it over to Pilot.
Okay.
And meanwhile, Jax is going to take the gold on the top side. So a little bit of a different strategy. But if we do end up in a 2v2 now, then there could be some advantages. Of course, that Kalista Kennen lane is extraordinarily strong in a 2v2.
More importantly, there's no way to run. Like Stixxay and Aphromoo are playing on a lane with no tower from behind, so ganks get opened up really easily, especially against the Rek'Sai who can get over these walls, so warding patterns will have to change a little bit for extra security. But in the top lane, the cornerstone of CLG's composition is the Jax. He got a bounced wave, teleport is still up, he's now probably pushing it out because he knows somebody's coming to defend it. And this will probably snowball Darshan ahead.
Yeah, well, that's what CLG's hoping anyway.
And see how much he can get from this. Meanwhile, immediately recalled Pilot and Chei, so they're going to head back and try and pick up this wave. And will they attempt to make a play on this long lane, like you said, Krepo? TP into the mid lane for Kuzan, so that's not going to be available.
Yeah, we're going to need to see Xmithie go down to the lane, secure the push, make sure that the wave resets. This is a crucial point right here.
And meanwhile, on the top side, SoHwan up a Doran's Blade because of that earlier recall. So he is going to be feeling relatively comfortable about pushing out Rek'Sai up in the top side of the jungle to help him.
Well, not the greatest wave clear for Jin Air down the spot lane, so it looks like Aphromoo and Stixxay should be able to get some damage done to this turret, but they're pushing up really far without a ton of vision. They're actually just going to go diving down after Xmithie shows up. They just want to keep fast pushing.
Yeah, they do. They denied
Yes.
some CS right there, but the question is, was it worth it to show Xmithie? And so they gained about 5 CS in total by denying them off the turret. But I'm not sure that's going to be entirely relevant. And showing Xmithie for that long is kind of a comfort for the Jin Air top lane, SoHwan, to play further forward.
Also, it loses them tempo. They show Xmithie that means he did those 2 camps before he came here. Now they know Xmithie has to path all the way to the other side of the map if he wants farm. That actually gives a really good ganked opportunity for Winged later on, because if that lane stays in that same spot, it's so hard for Stixxay and Aphromoo to get away from this Rek'Sai and this Kennen.
Yeah, and SoHwan too, because he's already gone back to buy, does have an item advantage if both Darshan and SoHwan were to TP. So I'm not sure about that pathing from Xmithie. We'll see how much it comes back to bite them. Meanwhile, Chei trying to zone out here.
You know, SoHwan, we just saw, took a CS lead up in top as well. So already starting to push back a little bit against Darshan's Jags. That one Doran's Blade advantage seems to be helping a little bit.
Yeah, peculiar what Darshan ended up doing there. He didn't really stack the mini wave as big. In phase 2 of a lane swap, you can actually stack a massive wave, make that help you in your favor to actually outtrade an extra Doran's Blade. Because minions, you know, if you have 6 or 7 minions on your side, who cares about the Doran's Blade? You will win these games.
Whoa, flash engaged by Aphromoo onto Chei, but no real follow-up for CLG. Kind of curious what the plan was there.
Yeah, that was actually
very
quite
strange.
odd. We just kind of caught the tail end of that, so we'll see what actually ended up happening, but nothing at all. Very bizarre.
Looked at it again. It was really peculiar, random Q flash forward. There was no threat on Stixxay whatsoever.
Maybe they thought that Winged was coming in from the side, and they thought they could start something to break it up a little bit. I don't know.
They're probably looking for TP play. That could be it, you know, where they said,
could be
Darshan TP on the ward, we're going in for the play, but he's stuck on his tower, so there's no way that is conceivable, really.
Right, and the stun, too, coming in from Riven would have been a really easy TP cancel from SoHwan there, so that looked like a miscommunication.
Yeah, seems to be. And again, the CLG team certainly working with a new roster. You're going to have those moments early on, and sometimes much later on, too, as we've seen from other teams.
You know, it really looks to me like, especially in the games that CLG played against Unicorns of Love, they're really treating Stixxay with kid gloves here. They're trying to make it as easy as possible for him.
Yeah.
And they seem really concerned with him being in any kind of 2v2.
Yeah, the first game especially, he got the daycare treatment. He got a level 3 gank, then his mid laner, his jungler returned to roam, people were zoned off the tower. I mean, it was solid macro play, but it kind of hit Stixxay in terms of evaluation. We don't know how good he is. Right now, though, he's basing and picking up a BF sword, and that actually puts the Kalista matchup really in favor of the Ashe. BF sword into Cutlass is one of the worst breaking points. If you then get ahead, you can go BF sword pickaxe, and you can really start destroying this matchup. So Stixxay could get an advantage right now.
I'll find out. Xmithie doing a little bit of farming on the opposite side of the map as they have pushed SoHwan a little bit farther back here.
Yeah, looks like they are trying to make a play on the top side right now. CLG saw the deep wards come in from Jin Air. They know there's a ward at the turret because they have that Wolf Spirit following up. Good reaction from CLG to just ward the opposite side of the enemy jungle.
And they're
going to try and make a play right now, looks like.
Yeah, they're avoiding the long lane in the bottom by just simply putting Stixxay mid. The zone control from that arrow and the follow-up from any other CC is actually might be used to kind of siege down this tower in the mid lane.
Well, everybody from Jin Air on their way to the mid lane. They want to stop CLG from taking this turret if they can, and we'll see if we get a fight out of this. Looks like for now the wave clear is just fine. No engage just yet, and CLG, you know, could this all be part of a plan to get a good position on the Dragon?
It gets you the position on the Dragon. More importantly, it breaks the freeze in the bottom lane too.
Yep.
Kalista now is forced to push out. That wave's going out. So Stixxay really couldn't do anything in this time in the bottom lane. So he just decided to play another part of the map, deny some CS from the Kalista that now was forced to roam to the mid lane.
Also Riven, but they're going to come in with a TP.
They are indeed. SoHwan coming from behind with Riven. CLG turns immediately though, so this engage isn't going to work at least. SoHwan going in anyway. Gets pushed back right away. Gets low. Stixxay gets hit by the Lissandra ultimate. SoHwan's still alive. Oh, he finally goes down. First blood taken by Chei. Jin Air loses one themselves though. In SoHwan, flash ahead. They can't quite take out Stixxay though. Jin Air needs to back off.
This is kind of what I mean by Jin Air's really aggressive playstyle. This is an entirely new Jin Air, but they made the call right there. They don't want to give up the Dragon because CLG had been dictating where the pressure on the map was by pushing up both top and bottom waves. So Jin Air just makes an extraordinarily aggressive call. They get the first blood trade 1-for-1, but they get control over the Dragon with the Kalista. So that should be pretty easy, and they grab blue.
Yeah, I love the teleport flying from Riven, but I just wonder, what happens if Huhi turns his Azir ultimate the other way around? He cuts off the blood supply from the backup, and they simply collapse on the Riven. That's easy pickup. Then you get a free dragon. So let's watch it again if that actually was possible. So we see
it was definitely
3 people.
possible.
Yeah. Ulti backwards right now, and then just let Aphromoo take care of SoHwan.
Also, just a bit of a waste of the exhaust right there, because by the time SoHwan is actually unstunned, the exhaust is already gone. So, bit of a sloppy shot call there from CLG. They probably could have just taken a 1 for nothing and then turned right back onto drag.
Definitely. Huhi should have probably Emperor's divided the other way around and just let Aphromoo, because an Alistar can easily take care of a Riven.
Oh yeah, especially with exhaust stuff. So. Kind of strange team fighting there from CLG, but we'll see. Not too much loss there, just a dragon in the end.
Well, it's a pretty close game still overall. Obviously, we see the gold is close, the towers are even, kills are even.
Stixxay down in the bottom, that leaves the rest of the map to be played 4 against 5, and Greenwings trying to take advantage of that by sieging this top lane tower.
Yeah, and they do have the TP up on Kuzan, so he just went back to base.
A lot of focus up in the top lane right now for Jin Air. Looks like they'll get the pink ward in Tri-Brush. Xmithie and Huhi are right there, though.
They have to be careful. Kuzan actually going to rotate into the bottom side of the map just to pick up the wave that's being left there and still threaten with that TP. Huhi has taken cleanse this game just because of all the crowd control, kind of a necessity, but that means that Jin Air is going to be able to affect a 1-3-1 split push. They really have very poor siege with this composition, so we're going to very rarely see them group as 5.
Yeah, they really want to skirmish, and the way to really get favorable skirmishes is to push up side waves and force people to react and then catch them while they're going from one lane to the other, or really just play with a numbers advantage and straight up dive.
Xmithie waiting out of vision to see if maybe SoHwan's going to go in onto Darshan for the duel that Xmithie could turn around, but it's not going to happen.
Yeah, there are a lot of wards Jin Air has in the top river. They're not going to be going beyond that point. That's where they control the vision. They just saw Aphromoo standing behind that Baron pit, and so they're not going to be too terribly aggressive right now. And see what they can make happen in this mid lane. Lots and lots of vision coming down for Jin Air.
Yeah, still just those 2 turrets down in the game, though. 1 in top lane, 1 in bottom lane. 1 for each. Both teams have kind of fought to a standstill at this point.
Yeah, it's just so easy for both teams to guess where the jungle is. There's no reason for Rek'Sai or Lee to be in the bottom side or the right side of the map, rather. So they have to be respectively in their blue and red jungles. And that kind of limits the action in the top lane, where people just push to you, push back to me, and it kind of becomes a stalemate until you find an opening. But for CLG, that opening kind of has to come from an arrow from Stixxay, and he's locked up in full vision, so...
Well, and if he's going to get an arrow, that actually does, he has to move into another part of the map, and that arrow has to hit, because if it misses and they don't get that kill, well, Jin Air is just going to keep up with this 1-3-1, and you maybe lose a tier 2 at the bottom side at that point. So it's a bit difficult to play Ashe at this moment in time, but you have to start trying to make picks, because Ashe is pretty useless if you're not going to pick somebody off.
Now, we talked a little bit about the 1-3-1 already, but I mean, Jin Air already has the first dragon. They do have all that CC, all that engagement we talked about too. So I feel like dragon fights are going to be pretty dangerous for CLG to try in the future too.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Doa. And this is what Jin Air wants. They want an early dragon and to start stacking and to force CLG to fight them repeatedly in the river, because that's when their CC really shines.
Yeah, now CLG do have the tools. Do not get surprised. Double Hawkshot can come out for some vision. Jin Air is only really strong if they have complete vision control, where they can then ambush you with that skirmish, heavy CC. If CLG can kite and fight in choke points, more especially with the Azir ultimate, then they can kind of turn the fights around. But we need to see Huhi then control the team fight and not just panic ulti this first enemy he really sees.
Yeah, Chei has been doing a lot of roaming this game so far.
Tons of roaming.
Yeah, I mean, just look at his build, Sightstone and Moby Boots. So he's been all over the place, getting the deep wards in and just trying to see where they can make a play. They know they have that TP advantage, so trying to use that very strong Kalista Kennen combination. Play the Ruin King done right now, so it's not the worst time to fight.
I was going to say, speaking of Kalista, she's got that blade now right about 1:30 away from Dragon. Doesn't look like Stixxay is going to have any big items finished by then.
It's going to be really hard for CLG to contest this next dragon because Darshan probably not going to be finishing the Trinity Force quite yet. And then we also have the fact that SoHwan will have finished his Black Cleaver. So this is a really good time for Jin Air just to get on top of that dragon early. They already control the vision around that objective. It's CLG trying to take mid.
Yep, they're pushing forward here. Chei winged there to try to defend. Lissandra's coming down as well, so we'll see if Kuzan can help out.
Teleport coming in, top right, left of your
Yep,
screen.
they're going to try to send SoHwan behind him again. That Riven coming from behind. Whoa, Kuzan goes in. Oh, ults himself to dodge the arrow. Chei engages, and here comes Riven. Gets kicked out right away by Xmithie, and CLG is just fine.
So much going on.
I know.
Really good use of displacements from CLG. Predictive pulverize instantly on the Lissandra, then the arrow forcing the self-ultimate. We seen kick safe for the Riven. Right now we saw CLG distribute tasks. You do that. They said, okay, Xmithie, you take care of the Riven. Aphromoo, you got Lissandra.
Oh, are they going to go in? Of course they are. Catching Xmithie, taking him out. There's a kill for Kuzan. Jin Air not sad about that at all.
Just as we were praising them. Take a call. Thank you,
Cast the curse,
CLG.
man. That's how it works. And this mid lane turret could easily go down in Jin Air's favor. It looks like it probably will take a lot of damage at the very least. Stixxay and Aphromoo trying to stop this one. SoHwan getting very, very close. Pilot there as well. And yeah, that turret's getting taken out.
And Jin Air, this is such a different team that we're used to casting in Korea, Noah. Aggressive moves, they know what they want, and they will just all in you at any time. You've got to be ready for it.
This Jin Air kind of reminds me of like Champion Spring KT Rolster from like last season.
Yeah, I definitely like that they wait with the engage on the flank. Many teams, when they teleport, they feel forced to immediately go in, but SoHwan, he kind of waited around a little bit for his team to then make the first move, and he just was a threat on the top left side of your screen. Good disengage from CLG, but Jin Air Greenwings were never in danger of getting anywhere close to dying.
Yeah. I mean, this is kind of the issue for CLG that we talked about, you know, before the game even began, you know. I mean, Jin Air has all this engage, and they can use it, you know, multiple times. CLG, if they can't stop the split push, they can't stop the engage, they can't get dragons, that doesn't really leave them with a lot left over, does it? Except for maybe like a super late game situation where they win a team fight.
They just want to scale, get the Azir super fed, and then start kiting. And eventually, if the one-shot potential from Jin Air is gone, then Azir can do damage. But we're a whole while off before that happens, and many dragons can fall in the wake.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, right now, approximately, you know, we've got 2 dragons already down before 18 minutes, so this is going to be a pretty fast dragon snowball, all things considered. They're basically looking at a possible, what, like 32-minute 5th drag right now, so that's going to be hard, I think, for CLG to deal with. This is exactly where Jin Air wants to be in this game. And they've also successfully rebuffed the mid pushes, because CLG has been doing a good job of controlling the minion waves, has been just trying to group up and take out that objective so they can get some control, but it just hasn't worked. Jin Air has just been answering with teleports.
We haven't really seen a team be aggressive like this in this tournament either, too. So CLG, you know, maybe a little bit thrown, not expecting a team to go that hard, that fast, you know?
I like it when teams go for skirmish comps in a game 1 of a best of 1. Just come out, play your heart out. A lot of teams are very timid, apprehensive when they get into the first game and just saying, okay, we're just going to go in, just going to go hard.
Yeah, it doesn't really show a lot strategically, too, that you may be hiding. You're like, well, if we can just win by brawling, then we'll just win by brawling. We'll save whatever else we have for later games.
Okay,
Looks like Darshan should be able to get this turret.
Yeah, nice move by CLG. They know that there's not any pressure on the top side. They see the Kalista up there, so just go ahead, move the Azir down into bottom, because Ashe is pushing out the mid wave. So nicely played.
Yeah, I think cross-mapping is what CLG is looking for, to stall games later on. You know, they go for dragon, we get a tower, you go top, get some extra farm. We'll see, just put some vision down. You really just want to trade objectives on the map. You really don't want to go for the fights anymore.
Yeah, it's about survival at this point for CLG. Survival until the late game, and they're doing a decent job of it. I mean, the kills are still very small in this game, despite Jin Air's best efforts, and the gold is still nearly identical. Aphromoo coming up with Stixxay to this top lane, but there's really nothing they can do to save this turret. And Jin Air will take the turret lead yet again, having taken down all 3 outer turrets now.
And see some hesitation too. You saw Xmithie and Huhi both path into the jungle past the Raptors, and then turn around to go push mid, so that could have been done a lot quicker as well. Hesitation, they're not on the same page, because yesterday we saw CLG work as a team to snowball, but those were very easy rotations, map plays. To really effectively shot call in a 1-3-1, you can't do that with just one shot caller. You need everybody to know and understand the way your team wants to play the game, and you can see that CLG is kind of trailing on the play.
Yeah, SoHwan too has been playing around his vision extremely well this entire game. He's not really pushing out past his ward line. Chei has always been there with those Moby boots to start pushing the wards forward so that he can match the farm, but there hasn't really been an opportunity to gank SoHwan so far. And it's causing some difficulties. Of course, you'd like to take that Riven out early. Did die in that early team fight, but Not anything in terms of the split push.
Yeah, the faster you power up that Jax too, the better. And they have no kills on him right now. Only one on Huhi.
Hitting some power spikes though. Triforce on Jax. Mashers completed on Azir, and Stixxay should have his Infinity Edge for the third dragon, so we could see CLG attempt to really fight the third dragon. Because Aphromoo, he can provide a lot of zone for his team with the Alistar ultimate. He can counter Chei and tank at the same time. So support for support, I think Alistar can have a greater impact if Aphro plays to the potential.
Yeah, quite possible.
Yeah, going for the Rylai's second on Huhi too. So it's all about, like you're saying, Krepo, kiting, making sure that Jax has room to move. They are playing around Zion Spartan just like they did yesterday, or Darshan, whatever you want to call him.
Call it what you want.
I don't know. I like Zion Spartan, but I know Darshan's name, so it's okay. Can't really criticize that. Mid turret.
Try number 3 here
Danger.
on mid.
Okay, we're going to have to wait till try number
succeed.
4, I guess. Fourth time's the charm, right?
Sidewaves are both pushing though. They have the time to really get their pushes thwarted in the mid lane because they don't really care. As long as the sidewaves are pushing, eventually somebody's got to deal with that.
Yeah, and the problem too is that Jin Air's main form, because the Hurricane isn't done yet for Pilot, their main form of wave clear is Lissandra Q, so they can't really split off Lissandra to deal with that top wave. You may just go for it though. You can see SoHwan is posturing outside of vision.
Wind is low. There is a ward that they can come in from behind.
They're pinging it
with.
right now.
Yeah, it's not the closest ward.
Yeah, that's the problem right now. Jin Air Greenwings would love to have a deep lane ward somewhere in the mid lane to really surprise them, but that teleport is kind of out of bounds.
Yeah.
And there's so many escape paths. You know, once you see the Riven, you can go left, you can go up, depending what path you take. So, getting pretty tricky here. CLG with a really good 4-1 split push.
Yeah, very
working
nice.
out. They're putting a lot of pressure on bottom lane as well while they take the mid lane tier 1.
Ping still
Evening
going
out
down.
the turrets.
Arrow missed actually in the mid lane.
Yeah, that didn't work out. Chei still in a lot of trouble. Gets knocked up. Pulled back in by the Kalista ultimate. Meanwhile, winged over the wall with the knockup. Huhi bottles everyone up. Chei looking for a chance to re-engage. They're going to take down Xmithie. And Jin Air winning this team fight. 2 kills already. CLG got the turret, but they lost 2 people right afterwards. Oh, maybe more. Chei getting very aggressive. Gets a stun onto Stixxay. But I think he may be able to... No! He doesn't get out. SoHwan with a kill. And 2 kills onto that Riven. That is pretty good for Jin Air.
You can't commit that much to the Kennen when there's a Kalista in the game.
Yep.
Easily yanked out of that, able to come around for the flank and get some damage off
Right with
with that
Dragon,
TP.
And
Or with the ult, rather.
More importantly, I can't believe CLG actually went for that arrow at that point in the game. They were pushing mid, they were pushing bottom, 20 seconds away from Dragon. There was barely any vision around from Jin Air Greenwings. They had perfect isolation on that objective. The lane in the top lane, if you look at your minimap right now, look where the minions are. There is no threat at all. Riven loves to TP in this situation if you overreach and engage on the Kennen. And by this time, this Lissandra ultimate in this choke point, that just completely ruins the fight.
Yeah, and not only that, but you missed the Ashe arrow. There's no Ashe ult anymore, and you still try to engage after that. It's a pretty big error in terms of team fighting, and I guess they didn't expect maybe all of Jin Air to be there, but SoHwan comes in with a great TP, and there's the kill finalized onto Stixxay.
Yeah, multiple layers of mistake. Missing the arrow, actually choosing to opt in for the arrow at that time, then still committing after the arrow is used, when they could have just denied the third dragon, scaled comfortably fine into the late game. They had no pressure in the top lane, so CLG looking less macro-oriented compared to yesterday.
Well, they just look a little bit more flustered too. I mean, where we talked about how great it was that CLG looked like they're coordinated. It looked like they were on the same page yesterday. We're not really seeing that as much today. I mean, things look a little bit more like you'd expect from a team that had just had a lot of big roster changes and was still kind of figuring things out.
Jin Air Greenwings though, because we're faulting CLG here, but zero hesitation on that play.
Yeah.
Immediate reaction, getting Kennen pulled out there, didn't disengage, saw the turnaround play, teleport comes in. This is the third TP I've seen from SoHwan that has been in the range from mediocre to just fantastic overall. So
I'm liking this new Jin Air team. This is my kind of play right here.
Yeah, I think it's interesting too because they are so dedicated to reacting to the plays that CLG has made that they have this lack of hesitation. But you have to be really, really sure that you want to do what you want to do, because we've seen that Jin Air they're just going to go all in no matter what. If
Yeah.
you try and make a play, they will be there no matter what to try and counter it.
You know, and I feel like this is what we see from a lot of quote-unquote new teams in the Korean scene too. You see a lot of extreme aggression, extreme sort of brawling compositions like this too. So it's interesting seeing that kind of brought to an international event, because we haven't really had a Korean team in this position like Jin Air right now get to play in a situation like this.
But very often teams that play this style, they get a lead, but then they lack the macro game to close it out. And then you get to the mid game where items like Quicksilver Sash can be purchased, or supports just rack up a little more defense and resistances, and suddenly that hard engage, that zero hesitation engage, doesn't one-shot your opponent.
Well,
and
that's
then
why-
you start struggling.
Yeah, and I think that's why if Jin Air gets through here, I feel like they're going to have a tough time against Origin. You know, I mean, Origin is so good at the mid and late game that obviously we're still in game one. It's a while yet. CLG could definitely take this. But if Jin Air happens to make it through, you're absolutely right, Krepo. I think that style, while it's fun to see, it's kind of tough against a team that's more stable like Origin.
Yeah, and just generally in the late game, there's so many items that counter that hard engage, just full on CC, just everybody gets Merc threats potentially, or you have QSS. Mikhail's picked up by a support. You know, Lissandra ulti can get negated, Kennen stun can get negated. The range advantage Ashe has on Kalista starts playing more dividends later in the game.
Very true. Well, there's our crowd. It's very dark, but they look excited. I see a lot of waving.
I can't see it.
You can't see it, huh? Maybe you should put on your glasses, Krepo.
I've got night vision. You can see it? Don't worry. And the trophy shining like a beacon of hope for both teams in the middle of the stage.
Is that how it's shining?
That's exactly how it's
that's
shining.
the symbol you're going to make right there, like a
symbol
beacon of hope.
Of hope to go to Katowice next year.
When your screen is gray and you doubt your progress, you just look over at the trophy and you're like,
That's
there's
right.
still hope.
Do you have like a printout of a trophy like on your room, you know, on the wall in your room? You're like, someday.
Someday? No,
No, it's a little bit late now.
someday,
I guess.
yeah, I don't think, I
So-
don't realize that. I don't think I can get many trophies anymore.
A picture of like, you know, a really fancy desk.
Yeah.
You're like, someday.
Someday, maybe.
There
Like
you
one of
go.
those stand-up desks that you can move around.
Yeah.
Maybe.
A standing desk someday.
Right, please.
I'll be so much healthier.
Come on, Ryan will buy you a standing desk.
Probably.
They
We
can
actually had-
Imagine
we
Dragons
actually
write
had
a
the-
song for the man. They can buy you a standing desk.
We actually had the option to get a standing desk. I opted out of it.
Really?
I like sitting down.
You lied again. You're like, you want to... Hey, look at that. There's a fly better fly flag in the audience. So that, like, you can only get those in Korea, I'm pretty sure.
Maybe the
right?
team brought some, but yeah,
Maybe,
I have one
maybe.
of those, but I've only seen them ever in Korea,
Yeah,
so.
that is legit Jin Air swag right there. Congrats to that person. That's cool. Fly better fly.
I would have brought mine, but you know, this team was announced after I had already left for Worlds, and I haven't been
Oh.
home in over 2 months.
You're not prepared. You don't know the inside gossip in the Korean scene. Disappointed.
World Traveler MonteCristo. I was going to make some sort of like where in the world is MonteCristo joke, but we know exactly where you are because of Twitter, so.
Oh, damn it.
Yeah, so you can't, not quite off the grid enough. Oh, well.
I'll try and make it more secret, avoid the cameras next time. I'm only going to cast through a voice modulator.
Cryptic Monte
I can
Cristo.
see this happening. I can see this happening. So that would make some other shows you're involved in pretty entertaining too, I think. We should do this. Let's make this happen. All right. We're pretty close to getting back into the game between CLG and Jin Air Greenwings. And the question is, we've had a little bit of a break here, in case you haven't noticed. Is this kind of the point CLG needs? Like, Krepo, if you're in a game like this and you have a pause, things haven't been going well, does it help? Does it kind of calm you down, help you sort of refocus, even if you can't like discuss things openly?
There's different players. So there's players that get pulled out of a game due to a pause that then have a very hard time getting into it. I don't know what the exact rule set is for ESL, but during LCS matches, teams are not allowed to talk.
Right.
Unless it goes beyond the crazy distance and the referees actually allow them. So you would think a pause allows you to center yourself, but if you can't really talk about what's going wrong, you can think about it, but at the same time, you really need to share with your teammates, you know, what are you thinking, how do you play these fights, what are your roles?
Yeah.
I personally found very often when there was a pause, I just had a hard time focusing, getting back in. Especially because generally when you're in a game, you have a feel, you know Dragon's going to be up roughly in this amount of time. Yes, you can check the timer,
It
but
throws off all your internal timers. Yeah.
your instinct, your intuition kind of gets ruined by this pause. At the
I know
same time,
exactly what you mean from my bronze solo queue games.
you have pauses in your bronze solo queue games.
No, we don't. But just, you know, the internal timing. you know?
30-second intervals where your screen
Yeah,
goes
I feel
green.
like there's...
He's dead so much that it feels like
I feel
20
like there's
minutes
pauses because I'm always wrong about it. Yeah. Like, oh, I thought Dragon was going to come up 3 minutes later, but it was up 5 minutes ago. Oh well. It's okay, I'm too busy getting kills. You know?
What do you play in bronze?
What do I play? I don't know. Well, actually, technically silver. I wanted to like be... See,
Lie.
you're rubbing off on me, Krepo. Yeah. Sorry to compulsively lie, yes. I don't know if that makes it much better, but... I don't know. A lot of support champions. Yeah,
I can dig that.
pretty much. You know, a bit of Bard.
Bit of Bard, that's good.
Yeah.
Where's the Bard this tournament, by the way?
Seriously, yeah.
The skilled Bard players kind of left the scene already. Yeah.
Well, you know,
Just like Bard, they came to just make sure that it was an okay champion and then just
peace
went
out.
off. Yeah.
the sign for Kuzan right there.
Yeah, that's right. Wow. Good Korean reading job there, Monty. Nice. Well done. Yep.
So I'm sad because actually one of the best Bard players is Jin Air's other support player, Sweet.
That's true.
But he's not here.
Oh well. Yeah,
Bard-
Sweet is a very good Bard player.
Bard would actually be, I mean, if we're going off topic anyways, would be actually a good fit in this
Why
composition.
stop now?
Yeah,
Okay.
if we're in this, you know, in for a penny, in for a pound. I love playing Bard against Azir and Ashe, for example, because the whole reason kite champions are so strong because they can literally kite you, but it negates it so hard. You can just ulti them and then you can still decide, do we close in and one shot them? If not, we can back off. So there's options to kind of opt out of the play. Whereas this composition that Jin Air Greenwings are running right now, you better be damn sure you're right about your engage or you're going to lose the fight horribly. But so far...
Wow. So somehow Jin Air has lost 2% in the fan vote after you know doing pretty well so far in the early part of the game. Like, I think CLG will bring it back.
Well, it's counter logic, right? So the
guess so.
logic was that they're winning this game currently, so you have to go against it. Therefore, gonna start voting for CLG.
You know, it's just like they say. You know, you got to lose to win.
It's the pause. Everybody gets on their phones and starts voting for CLG instead here. We're in any audience.
That's true. Like, I believe it'll come back. Jin Air, waiting patiently, typing something. He's like, please send food, we're starving in this booth. This pause is so long.
Now I can read keyboard. He said they're ready and we're going to get into game
okay.
really soon.
Wow, you're really good at this. And there we are, we're back in game. Krepo, for once you didn't lie to us. There it is, Jin Air versus CLG. Jin Air pushing ahead on this tier 2 in mid lane. We'll see if they keep it up. I don't know if it's quite the time. Meanwhile, Darshan getting a bit of farm in the bot lane and pushing that wave back in CLG's favor.
They're gonna try and dive topside, actually.
Yeah, it looks that way. Stixxay could be in a little bit of trouble. Stixxay, rather.
And they have to play this way. They have to just keep moving on the map around CLG because they can't actually set up for a 5v5 siege with this opposition. So threat in the back right there. This is really the only way they can take turrets. And so nicely done. Just quickly moving up into the top side. They cleared out some wards and forced them off the tower.
Now what does CLG do now? They're either going to get a lot of farm here and maybe trade a tier 2 tower, or mid laner has to teleport. Kuzan may have to teleport down bottom, but he can't even one go on Darshan. So actually, effectively, a trade here, and that's fine for CLG. They keep the gold gap roughly 1,000, I believe.
Yeah.
500 gold right now.
And that's something that Darshan's been doing very well this tournament, is he has been such a threat in the split push, taking down inhibitors with that Riven yesterday, and really knowing his limits well. He's not overextending. And he's not been very vulnerable to ganks, and that was a big problem at the World Championship.
Yeah, and CLG making sure there are no deep wards behind them. They don't really want to facilitate any fancy Riven or Lissandra flanks here. So good vision control right now, and they're making sure Baron doesn't get snuck out. So overall, yeah, they're hanging out well.
They are hanging out well, indeed. They've got a few deep wards in on Jin Air's side, too. So overall, CLG, I feel like for the moment anyway, has more or less stabilized.
4th dragon will mean a lot. 3 dragons already right now. If they can get the 4th one for free, then CLG starts struggling. If CLG can steal 1 dragon, I think they're actually in a comfortable position to be favorites in this game.
Definitely. I mean, that 1 dragon pushes back the 5 dragon timer enough that Jin Air will then need to start to play a pretty solid late game to have a chance of winning.
Yeah, they've got to start setting up, though. Jin Air should try and clear out that bottom side so that SoHwan can just keep on pushing forward more safely. It's all about that bottom side control on the map right now, making sure you can get rid of some of these pink wards inside the Jin Air jungle.
You know, the funny thing is there's really not much vision at all near Dragon at the moment.
Both teams hovering around Baron because at this point in the game, this dragon you don't want to trade for a Baron, but once you get number 4, you can actually opt to give away Baron and just rush a dragon instead and get 5 dragons, especially because your split push is physical damage. You don't struggle at all clearing those Baron buff minions.
Yeah, Darshan taking a bit of damage right here, and SoHwan playing pretty aggressively, but no one actually moving over because Jin Air has had constant eyes on the members of CLG in that topside jungle because Chei, with those boots of mobility, did get some deep wards in. And so they see that there's not really any threat to this top lane split push right now.
CLG just focusing on keeping those wards clear, playing defensively, but they do seem to be kind of getting slowly pushed back here.
And they actually have completely blacked out the Baron, forcing the Hawk shot.
Yep. Jin Air, though, still has control.
Buys enough time though for one more ward and then a mid push. Right now, Jin Air Greenwings, they need to react. Because technically CLG could just really rush down mid. They have the opportunity to get flanked on them, but every time you push in that wave into tier 2, somebody has to react. You see them, that means you buy another like 30 seconds to 60 seconds to then maybe get another ward in. So it's CLG doing a good job stalling.
Yeah, but they have Jin Air kept the waves pushed up right now, and they have vision control over the Baron, and they recalled with enough time to get everybody over to that dragon right as it spawns. So they are just going to keep on moving towards that objective. They know how important this is to their composition.
Yeah, this dragon is crucial for both teams. I feel like whoever gets this one is going to have a pretty good chance of winning it.
Yeah, Kalista's a little bit late to the party here, and there is that one ward that is going to time out right before they can see where Kalista is. Otherwise, CLG's in the dark, but no wards really for Jin Air in the river, just a couple. But Chei's coming in actually from the side.
Yeah, they're going to try to flank, but it's not going to work.
He's so fast.
Whoa, that arrow.
That's
not good for CLG.
You can't take that arrow. It's a Kennen with a lightning rush and boots of mobility.
There's a Kalista on the map.
There's like zero chance that you're even going to hit that Kennen.
And even if you do, there's still a Kalista on the map that you haven't seen.
Too.
Yeah. I don't know, Stixxay.
Well, Jin Air going for Dragon. Xmithie onto Chei. He's going to try to kick him into the team.
Nice
they take
job.
him out immediately. Great catch by CLG. Jin Air has to back off. SoHwan coming from the side, but he doesn't get the flank. And CLG, they're going to try to flank here. Oh, Darshan has a flash away. CLG may still be able to claim this dragon. Jin Air pushing up the mid lane, so they're going to make him pay for it at least.
Well,
they're going to go for Baron. Yeah. Well, there it is. No quick 5 dragons for Jin Air at any rate.
They need to set up a pick here. They can't actually do the Baron. They're just going to try and bait it. They know, everybody knows that they're over there. They're going to try and...
Huhi. Ooh.
Xmithie's taking a safe path. They probably saw them on the edge of one of the wards moving around.
Aphromoo wasn't quite close enough to get jumped on by Jin Air.
Well, you're not going to jump on him anyway because he has his ult up. So that was a very nice pick from CLG. They actually managed to quarter him in the end after that arrow. So that is a huge dragon takeaway from CLG, and it might buy them the time to win.
Disrespect from Chei though. You can't afford to get picked off as a supporter with flash up. Yes, you really like the flash ultimate plays, but right there your objective is to secure the dragon. Just flash out and don't let yourself get kicked in.
They're going for the Baron.
This is panic Baron.
Spots them. They got to back off. Yeah. A little bit too dangerous. Seems a bit desperate from Jin Air right now.
And these desperate Barons generally are symptomatic to teams with lesser control of the macro game. They set up a play, and once one play backfires, they kind of result into just hovering around the Baron pit, randomly starting it over and over. And look at the waves right now. CLG has all the waves pushing right now, so they're in control of the map. They thwarted the 5 dragon threat, and then they can comfortably scale into the late game with a superior late game composition.
Yeah, I mean, if CLG just kind of stays methodical, stays safe, they've got a really good chance of taking this one in the late game.
What we're waiting for right now is a defensive item from this Jax, because that's when the scales tip from him being just a split pusher into being a major team fight threat. So a 3-item, 4-item Jax, that's where things get to be very worrisome for Jin Air, but they have a little bit of time before that happens, but their dragon stacking really has been foiled by that pick that CLG managed to get onto Chei.
Yeah.
And that was Xmithie, yet again, really good performance. Yesterday, he kind of carried CLG on his back with 2 Gragas games, I believe. Solid performance, and now, good pick off on the Lee Sin.
Yeah, great kick on Chei in that last fight, right before the Dragon. And now CLG having a chance to clear the wards out of the Dragon pit, maybe go for it themselves. They're going to. They're starting that Baron. Here comes Jin Air. The teleport coming in from Lissandra from behind. Huhi uses that Emperor's Divide very early. This could be bad. Aphromoo trying to keep him away. That is a lot coming in. Baron taken by CLG, but what's Jin Air going to get in response? They're going to get quite a bit here. Aphromoo taking out Huhi and Xmithie, the only members of CLG to escape with that buff.
That is such a dangerous play with all of the AoE and CC that Jin Air has. You get caught in the Baron Pit, and a Ruden's Hurricane Kalista is going to rip you apart. Great flash from Chei to get in there, and now it's a 5 versus 3, or 5 versus 2, and might mean an inhibitor or 2 in favor of Jin Air.
Yeah, we call it a shotgun composition, and if you can shoot fish in a barrel in a Baron Pit like that,
That's
not that
definitely
hard.
true. Not tough to fit that Kennen ultimate right in the Baron Pit. Kuzan gets engaged on by Xmithie, who has to back off right away. A little bit of damage onto that turret up top. They're going to take out the tier 2 in mid.
Yeah, and CLG again, not keeping the big picture in mind. Really good collapse. Greenwings collapse, play that fight beautifully. They get the kills they need, but CLG, they didn't need to go for that play. They weren't getting outscaled. Time was in their favor. They just sped up the game for Jin Air Greenwings.
Yeah, I mean, Chei coming in here too and just finding this angle, not even that hard. Pulp misses too, which means that Chei easily able to flash in. And you can see Kuzan there with Winged in the pit already. SoHwan gets exhausted, but he's on top of Stixxay, and that's an easy kill.
Yeah, Huhi also completely whiffed his ultimate. It did 0 damage to anyone.
Yeah.
Didn't even block. They could even path around. So
I thought maybe he was trying to.
ultimate.
Yeah, I thought maybe he was trying to block the jungle path
Yeah.
or something, but didn't even get that far.
That would have been a superior usage of the ultimate right there, but just blocking half the river. Yeah.
Yeah, you just walk 2 steps around it, and then you take people out in the Baron Pit.
Yeah, one important thing to note too is that we do see a couple of early QSSs coming in on SoHwan and Pilot. Pilot actually went for a 3rd item QSS. Meanwhile, no Quicksilver Sash on any member of CLG yet, and it looks like Stixxay is building towards a Bloodthirster, which I don't really agree with here. I think that you really just have to go for the survivability at this point in time because he's been caught out a couple times now in that back line and it hasn't worked out.
And Chei actually got a Zonias on a support
wow.
cannon. That's not supposed to happen.
Yes, it is.
I mean, it's
You
a
shut
nice
up,
build.
Krepo. It's exactly what's supposed to happen. Xmithie takes a lot of damage. I like the Zonias on
No,
support
I like the
cannon.
build, but you should never allow a support cannon to get away with
That's true.
building the Zonias and not get punished in the face where he's actually getting the components, because that's a lot of gold you need to sit on. He's basically been operating on boot sidestone this entire game.
Yeah. Saving up for a long time.
That's also going to increase the need that CLG has for that Aegis. Fortunately, Aphromoo already has that, so not going to be hurting too badly. And they're still using these super minions well, trying to make the most of this Baron.
Yeah, well, I mean, they've been doing a little bit. Whoa! Kuzan goes way in there, flank from behind. Jin Air catches CLG in that choke, and they win the fight, though. Huhi trying to kite back as best he can, but here comes Chei, and that's a lot of CC. SoHwan goes in. He's going to grab himself a kill before being taken down by Xmithie. And overall, this is a messy one, but it's one that CLG is going to win.
Yeah, very nice job just kiting through those choke points. You have to be careful. SoHwan couldn't get the angle. Darshan had a nice CP to help clean that one up, and they're going to be pushing forward.
Yeah, this is going to be at least an inhibitor for CLG. The Baron buff is out, but the death timer should be long enough that between Jax and the support and jungle, well, maybe not. What do you think? Think they can take the inhib? It probably doesn't look like they're going to try, yeah.
Just back off right now. No
Hope it's
point. They're pinging onto the dragon. They know that getting that dragon is way more important. You don't want to be on the cusp.
It's true.
So take a look at this one.
I mean, perfect flank here. See how the ultimate connects. Kuzan gets knocked out. Good cleanse from Huhi. And then this ultimate is what you need. Look at the zone right now. Pilot and Chei are busy kind of dealing with Aphromoo. This engages on Pilot too, and this leaves Wing alone in the front. Then SoHwan comes in, but it's too little too late. Kiting, and then Darshan comes from the side with that flank later on. So finally, we see a good Emperor's Divide win a team fight.
Yeah, and also Kuzan made the choice to use that Glacial Prison onto... wow, I'm really surprised they didn't go for that dragon afterwards, but...
No kidding.
Chose to use it onto an ulting Alistar, and that is never the decision you want to make. I think he panicked a little bit after getting hit by that Emperor's Divide, but you have to save that ultimate.
You know, despite that going badly for Jin Air, I feel like CLG giving them that 4th dragon just puts Jin Air right back into it.
Yeah, absolutely, and they still maintain a mild gold lead. Certainly CLG has some advantages. Now, we didn't get to see, because of the replay, what exactly was going on. I mean, Jin Air obviously just rushed the dragon, but I thought they were pulling off so that they could do the dragon, which was spawning in 6 seconds after they had gotten that inhibitor turret.
Probably we were mindful of Kuzan's teleport. CLG's playing against double teleport, and you don't want to give up the dragon and the map. Right now, you can sacrifice the dragon to at least salvage the map and maybe look towards the Baron next.
Well, the question then has to become, was it worth opening up that inhibitor to give up that 4th dragon? Because now you're playing with the sword of Damocles over your head for the rest of the match.
The answer is no.
I tend to agree with you, Krepo. I tend to agree with you.
The Dragon of Damakusa. That sounds way cooler. Just kind of hovering there.
Instead of a silly sword, you have a mythical fire-breathing creature.
That's right. That's what a dragon is. It's a mythical fire-breathing creature.
You're giving us all kinds of definitions today, Krepo. SpongeBob, dragons.
Dragon.
I educate, the average viewer may not know
I'm
what we
learning so
define as a
much.
dragon.
This is why you're the analyst.
What do you define as a drake? Because you're European.
We call it Drake, actually. A mediocre rapper with very funny dance moves.
All right, that was good. That was exactly the right answer, I think.
Good definition.
That's right. We have something similar for our definition of pitbull. Darshan pushing down this mid lane. If they can go ahead and put some pressure on the bot lane, that sets them up nicely for the next Baron that's coming up in about a minute.
Now, they don't have TP on Zion Spartan. He's a little bit late here.
Oh boy. Jin Air trying to come from the side.
Aphromoo in this choke is in such a good position, though, and CLG can carry back to the Azir turret, so they're really comfortable just like zoning people out. It's so hard for Jin Air Greenwings to commit if they don't have like a three-pronged flank. The earlier fight that they did, they had like people coming from different distances. Right now, they can't engage from front. Too much disengage.
Inhibitor, Chei goes in right away. He's got that Zonia, so he's safe doing it. Huhi uses the Emperor's Divide, pushes some people back. Xmithie on the run, but this doesn't look too good for CLG. Stixxay, though, gets that kill, and they're actually turning it around here. It was so close, but they get the inhibitor and they take the fight.
Now, Jin Air threw everything, including the kitchen sink at Darshan in that fight, hitting him with several ultimates, but he just barely managed to live through it thanks to the Sterix gauge.
Yeah, really good locket timing from Aphromoo at the very end of that fight. Locket plus heal, and this is what we were talking about. You can't come from the front door. It's so easy to kite backwards without flash even on Stixxay, the initial target of initiation. He just managed to QSS himself out of there. And that was a mediocre ulti from Huhi, and they still won that fight.
Yeah, I really thought that was going to go Jin Air's way when those health bars started dropping, but it was like there was a Kindred ult in the game. Even without the Kindred, somehow CLG just stayed alive.
I mean, it was a great ult from Chei, no doubt. Now we're going to see if they can stop this Baron. Remember, SoHwan and Kuzan, only Kuzan with the teleport up right now, but he's up in 3.
Don't think that Jin Air can stop this one. Doesn't look like they're going to even try, and CLG should be able to claim a much more comfortable Baron here.
Nicely done.
Yeah.
CLG, they've made some errors in this game that they didn't really have to make. They played a little bit too aggressively when they should have just been trying to stay back and control the minion waves. But overall, they've proved pretty patient since those couple of errors, and now they're looking quite good and in control of this game.
Yeah, and it just shows you the difference in power levels late game of these team comps. You just can't compare what an Azir and an Ashe bring to the table with the third threat right there. That Jax that can really tear apart the fight alone in the backside. And it's so hard to reach them, especially when you have Aphromoo and Xmithie doing, honestly, a stellar job peeling. A lot of headbutts gone right, a lot of kicks, really. It's almost impossible for Jin Air Greenwings, who rely on one single engage, to get that off.
Yeah, Xmithie too. That Dragon's Rage that he had in that last fight was really crucial because it prevented SoHwan from killing Darshan and getting rid of the Jax immediately.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we've seen kind of what we expected out of this series in the first game. We've seen it be a little bit messy, a little bit back and forth, but overall just a very close game between these two teams.
Yeah, it'd be fun if the rest of the series ends up being this close too.
Yeah.
And now, what can the Jin Air Greenwings really do? The only way they've won fights in the past is flanking, but right now, because the mid lane is getting pushed in, somebody's always has to deal with that. The side lanes are thinner and more easily dewarded. It's easy to spot somebody coming, so it's going to be really hard for them to get deep wards, sufficiently so that CLG can't spot the flank.
Yeah, and not to mention that this next dragon has to be fought while CLG has the Baron buff and has total vision control over that bottom side. So CLG can afford, they've got the inhibitor down already, so just go ahead and wait here, play for the dragon, and then just have confidence that you're going to win in the late game.
Yeah, wow, meanwhile, we've got a duel going up in the top lane between these top laners. Teleport comes in for Kuzan. Can they catch him? There's a cleanse. Darshan trying to get out. They're going to catch him again. Can SoHwan finish him off? Not quite yet. Darshan on the run. There's the flash. There's the stun. And SoHwan takes him down, but they may lose quite a bit down in the bot lane as CLG takes out the inhibitor turret.
And they're going to TP here with the Riven actually coming in from the, well, where is it? From the
top
flank.
lane,
Yeah.
Yeah, he thought about coming in. He TP, but then they couldn't quite find the angle to make that fight work.
But can they get 5th Dragon now as a
think they
result
can.
of that
Maybe.
play? Darshan still down for 45. It will be a 5v4. There's an arrow onto Wing.
Oh, they got Wing. There's the knockup. Can they finish him off? They can. The flash didn't work. Chei comes in from the side, though. Here's Jin Air's plan. Kuzan engages again. Xmithie still looking a little bit in trouble, but Stixxay's got a great angle over the wall with those auto attacks. Kuzan tries to find something. Here comes SoHwan from behind. Oh, triple kill for Stixxay and CLG. They don't really need, well, they still need to worry about this dragon. They need to try to take it because Kuzan and Pilot could still get it themselves if they back off. Looks like they'll get it, though.
Are they going to try to do?
Yeah, they got it.
I mean, that was a fight in a numbers disadvantage because Darshan was down, but there was no Riven ultimate up until the very last part of that fight, and more importantly, no Lissandra ulti either.
No
home guards, and then this opening here was really good on Wing.
Yeah, Wing got caught out. Stixxay finally finds an arrow, and it proves to be very important. And right here, again, Aphromoo just breaking through a lot of that CC. Pilot gets the knock-up onto Stixxay, but Stixxay's going to QSS and flash over the wall.
Yeah, there's actually, it's like a two-part mechanic where you can actually QSS out of the stun part of the knock-up and then flash away, so that's really good QSS there from Stixxay. But overall, Huhi again, not the right ultimate though. He went right when he should have went down, so still a little uncomfortable on the stage.
Seems that way. I mean, obviously, he hasn't had the greatest game, but it's been good enough. You know,
Yeah.
It's been barely good enough to contribute to these team fights. That second dragon taken by CLG, so crucial here. Still a close game, but CLG holding the cards right now.
Well, again, another 5th Dragon denial. CLG has been, they've been clutch on these dragons when it really mattered.
Holding on.
Yeah, they managed that because if Jin Air gets that 5th Dragon, the game may be over at that point, depending on how fast and how hard they can push. Inhibitor back up now, though.
Well, we saw another fight, too, where a lot of CLG members ended with, like, sub 1/4 of their health, too. If there's a 5th Dragon buff on Jin Air, those people are dead.
Yeah, luckily for CLG though, there's very little poke on the side of Jin Air Greenwings, and
True.
5th Dragon really becomes strong when you have poke champions that can just keep refreshing that debuff, and Jin Air Greenwings, they're kind of gonna go all in, so their all in gets marginally stronger. So 5th Dragon isn't the worst thing in the world that can happen. Obviously, you don't want it to happen, but if there's any composition that you want to give it to, it's probably something similar to what the Jin Air Greenwings are running this game.
Yeah. Well, for now, Jin Air just trying to push out all their lanes. Their inhibitors are back, so they do have maybe a little bit more breathing room now that the Baron buff is gone. They don't have as many super minions coming in. The Baron up in another 2 minutes, though, and CLG already getting things ready.
4-item Ashe compared to 4-item Kalista, though, definitely in the favor of Stixxay. He can actually start deciding these fights, especially with the peel from literally anybody else in CLG.
Trying to push down this top lane for now. It's the only inhibitor turret remaining. Play the Rune King on that Jax. It's going to make him even harder to duel with.
Well, it's really just the Sterix gauge in the team fights that's been incredibly helpful already. I mean, we saw it actually saved his life in the last fight in the mid lane.
Yeah.
It's just like, it's a hybrid item just like Jax. It turns defense into offense, you know. You get that proc if you get bursted down, and you see Darshan, he gets to the backline. They're left with no choice other than to focus him, and then he gets the full value out of that Sterix gauge.
Yep, definitely. All right, CLG looking a bit nervous. Looks like there's going to be a recall going in for Xmithie. They need to get ready for that Baron. 1 minute away. And if they can grab this next Baron, I feel like they might just be able to do enough with it to close the game out.
Well, it's all about the vision control and choking them out, but they haven't actually denied that many wards around the Baron in the top side right now. They have one at the choke, but they're going to see if there's anybody retreating through that topside jungle from Jin Air. And those TPs are going to be up quite soon. They will be up by the time that the Baron spawns.
Yeah.
And this is really still anybody's game as we get into 6-item territory. Yes, CLG definitely with an advantage right here, but remember, Jin Air still on the cusp of that 5th Dragon.
Yeah, but some of the wards here that Jin Air have placed are starting to fade. They're left with 1 or 2 wards here on a 2-minute timer, but they're not deep enough to really get any Baron vision. So CLG, instead of going for the sweeper approach, they just keep pushing the lanes for like 3 minutes. If you push the lane for 3 minutes, you have to guarantee that there are no wards behind you because the wards only last 3 minutes.
It's true. This is a pink ward that you didn't spot.
Yep, exactly.
Well, meanwhile, duel down the bot lane. SoHwan has to run. I don't think he can fight Darshan.
Oh, wow.
Certainly doesn't look like it. Well, Darshan going in, and SoHwan has to just flee.
And this is that point where the Jax gets absolutely terrifying. And this Riven not really going to be able to get into that 1v1. And Darshan, just like he was yesterday, in a very comfortable position to just threaten inhibitors on a split push.
SoHwan coming back in again. Waits, there's a stun. He's going to leap over. Trading a little bit. There's a teleport coming in. Kuzan wants to join the party. Darshan, there's that Sterix Gauge active. Oh, Darshan gets a kill. It's 1-for-1 though. CLG taking the Baron in the meantime. Was it worth it? I don't think so.
No, and that play from Jin Air right there was very poor because they used the TP to get into that bottom side. They had hoped that SoHwan would be able to live, get back to the fountain quickly, and then TP over to the Baron. But it didn't work that way. Darshan gets the kill, and then there's no more TP to make it into a 5v4.
CLG rushing down the mid lane right now. They've got that Baron buff. Not a lot stopping them from taking down this inhibitor. Pilot's not going to be able to do it by himself. Jin Air may just try to go in here. We'll see though. Kuzan still has his ultimate. There is a ward behind CLG in the mid lane too.
Yeah, but he doesn't have any TP is the problem, and SoHwan is dead for another 30 seconds. So they've got it, but I mean, fighting this right now without the Riven is going to be very problematic.
Looks like they just may have to give up both of their inhibitors. Kuzan thought about coming in. Again, he does have that ultimate, but it's not enough. Both inhibitors taken down by CLG in prime position to close this one out.
Yeah, Jin Air couldn't stall CLG long enough to make use of some of these really, really good deep wards because death timers this late in the game just get so high.
Yeah.
So many objectives off single pickoff. Really, really solid job there from Darshan. We see it again, the value from that Sterix Gauge come out.
We're already up to 48 minutes in this game. Probably, I think maybe the longest one of the tournament. And there's a Guardian Angel now on Jack. So yeah, good luck killing him.
Yeah, I think that now that the GA is finished, this game is almost certainly over, but it's going to come down to this very fight.
Well, they're going to get the fifth dragon.
I mean, Ashe is not even there.
Yeah, they're going to get the fifth dragon.
What is Stixxay doing in the top lane?
I don't know.
Oh my.
He's double lifting. And Jin Air will get the dragon.
I mean, that is just inexcusable at this stage. You cannot be there. That is a free dragon number 5 for Jin Air. Sure, you've got the 2 inhibitors down, but
that is a lot of power in that buff for Jin Air, and that's the type of power you need when you've got super minions pushing in 2 waves, when you've got another team threatening to win the game. And that's maybe enough for Jin Air to win a team fight even.
Well, if they can force it, that's going to be the big question, because CLG is going to have to try and be as elusive as possible for the next few minutes.
No deep wards though.
It's a bit awkward.
Teleports.
CLG coming in through the top.
Yeah, teleport wards are very far and in between right now. Just good pink ward there in that brush. I really like that because that is the standard teleport ward right there above CLG right now. They have side vision. They're pinging potential ward spots that Jin Air could have snuck in. So they are aware of the teleport flank. If they see Riven, they will be very happy. Now CLG is comfortable because as long as they see the guy that's expected to flank teleport, they have more information.
True.
Chei actually going to wrap around, but there is an Azir turret there.
Yeah, he may have a hard time coming. Looks like Jin Air wants to try to find that flank. They're really hoping. Meanwhile, Darshan pushing down the bottom lane. Jin Air doesn't have a lot of time to make this work. They're going to have to go in right now. They're going to try.
Yeah, they have about 30 seconds before the Nexus towers get under fire.
Oh, they're just buying time for Darshan to come in the bot lane and start hitting Nexus turrets.
Yeah, that's exactly what they're doing, but have they pulled 2 back? Wing's going to get hit by an arrow.
A follow-up? Not quite. They're going to let Winged go. Again, it's all about positioning Darshan to push through those Nexus turrets.
Yeah, Baron buff's off now, though, so that major threat has kind of faded, and as we see Jin Air still with that aspect of the dragon for a little while longer.
Not too much longer, but yeah. Got some time
They
yet.
have to be so careful here.
Yeah, they do. This 4-1 split push from CLG certainly seems to be putting a lot of pressure on Jin Air. They look a little bit confused.
Well, they're defending their Nexus turrets. Like, they actually haven't taken any damage yet, so it's not the worst thing in the world. CLG is just giving them the runaround for long enough for that aspect of the dragon to wear off.
And it's gone. So they managed to buy enough time. Oh, no, it's not quite gone yet.
No, it's
Thought I saw it run away.
It's got about 30 seconds left.
Oh, okay. Thought I saw it.
Teleport flank.
Yep, they're going to try to come in. TP. And SoHwan immediately has to back away.
Exposed Nexus towers right now. Darshan hitting on it. They have a Rek'Sai that can technically teleport in, but he can't deal with the Jax.
Darshan taking some Nexus turret damage. CLG pushing in the top lane though. Here we go. Flash going in. with that ultimate on Chei. Chei pulled back in by the Fates call. They're going to throw him in, trying to take down Aphromoo. That is a big target. He's tanky, but they get him. Meanwhile, Darshan dueling by the base. CLG on the run. Kuzan gets a kill on a Huhi. This could turn bad for CLG. There's the kills. Meanwhile, can Darshan, what can he do? It's only winged. He's got to flee. That was a double kill for SoHwan up in top.
But how fast can they actually go through? Kuzan still has his TP available.
I don't know.
What are they going to do here? Are they actually going to try and push through an inhibitor? Pilot already trying to clear out this wave in the mid lane.
Yeah, you gotta wonder. I mean, TP for Darshan, can he just maybe jump into the mid lane and fight Pilot 1v1?
Well, you could definitely fight Pilot 1v1, but I wouldn't take the risk of TPing. He doesn't know who's going to be backing him up or where people are on the map right now.
It's taking Pilot a long time to push up this lane, so I don't know just how much Jin Air can really get out of this team fight win, but those death timers are pretty long.
There's no minions though. If Darshan can teleport somewhere and cut off the supply of minions, then it makes it very hard to backdoor.
Here we go. This is dangerous for Pilot and Chei.
Well, SoHwan's here to back him up, so they're going to try and just go for this. While the death timers are still long, looks like they will get an inhib in the end.
Yeah, they'll get the inhibitor at least.
And their inhibitors are going to be coming up soon, so this will set them up for a nice Dragon number 5 again.
Wow. This game could not be closer right now. Let's watch that fight one more time.
Yeah, key things to watch here is good disengage from Aphromoo, but CLG should stop fighting and just keep running right here. They opt into the fight multiple times. This ultimate again from Huhi doesn't really help anyone. They get close for flash chains, and watch Stixxay right now. He's gonna walk into the Lissandra AoE after not being being out of it. So he kind of like sacrificed himself, forget that there's an AoE part that kind of affects him. And CLG again, they didn't have to fight there. Just disengage, reset. You're playing against like a shotgun composition. They just, if they fail at first engage, you have Darshan in the bottom, you can play the game slowly. You have all the tools in the world to just keep kiting over and over again.
And we do see them now. A lot of vision drop down into the top side by Jin Air on that retreat. Everybody recalled. 2 inhibs now back up for Jin Air, so they have that map pressure advantage. But again, only 1 Nexus turret left, so Darshan split pushing still a massive threat.
Yep. Oh yeah. Baron back up in 30, Dragon back up in a minute, so those major mid-map objectives becoming the focus for these teams.
It'll be interesting to see what Jin Air decides to do here, what their setup is going to be, if they're going to try and just ward up the Baron and then just try and dance over to Dragon number 5 or not.
And no flash on SoHwan, no flash on Kuzan though, and those are the tools that really allow them to win the fights, to really close that gap onto Stixxay, onto Huhi. Huhi's flash is up soon. Stixxay operating without a flash, so solely relying on disengage and that Quicksilver Sash.
CLG has to be very careful, though. There are deep wards. There's a lot of TP targets for Kuzan, and if he gets behind them while Jax is in the bottom side, they could blow somebody up before Jax has a chance to TP in.
Yeah, TP kind of becomes his flash. He has to get behind the targets, and then Ian from the backside is going straight. Aphromoo has been doing a great job just queuing up the Pulverize.
Here he goes.
Here comes Kuzan teleporting in from behind.
Has home guards.
Jin Air's going to go for it. Home guard Lissandra trying to engage here. Can he find a place? Huhi pushes him back. They're going to catch the Azir. They're going to kill him as well. Arrow comes out. Pilot going to cleanse out of it. Meanwhile, Darshan going to push.
They're going to go
into
for the
base.
win.
That's right. Darshan's going for the win while the fight is happening here. Jin Air distracted. Will the fight even matter? Xmithie comes back in. They're actually going to win the fight as well. And Darshan stopped by Winged. He's going to get the Nexus turrets anyway. Recalls coming in from Jin Air. Can Darshan do it? He's chopping away at the Nexus. Half health. Oh, they stop him. Oh, Darshan cleanses away. Can he get it? He got it. He got the Nexus. CLG takes game 1.
Oh, man.
That would be the most epic camera troll. If we pan over to CLG, it's like, nope. That's still
Wow.
And at near an hour, 55 minutes, the closest game by far we've seen at IEM San Jose, and NA staying alive in the tournament. Jin Air looking a bit stunned. Can't blame them. If they had been able to kill Darshan, the death timers probably would have been long enough for them to end it.
But what wonderful shot calling in a high pressure situation by CLG.